Hello and welcome back viewers, this is the Sirat Kaur and you're watching the Savera. Tax terrorism. It's a term that sounds dramatic, but for many businesses and individuals in India, it's a harsh reality. It refers to the aggressive and often unfair actions taken by tax authorities, leading to fear and uncertainty among taxpayers. But what does this mean in real life? Let's break it down. Imagine you're running a small business. One day you receive a sudden notice from the income tax department claiming you haven't paid enough taxes, even though you followed all the rules. You are asked to pay a huge penalty and officials even raid your office. You try to clarify, but the process is so complex and time-consuming that your business suffers and you feel harassed. This is what many call tax terrorism, when tax enforcement becomes more about pressure than fairness. One example is the case of Cafe Coffee Day founder VG Siddhartha. In 2019, Siddhartha, the man behind India's largest coffee chain, was under heavy scrutiny from tax authorities. He had already paid a part of his taxes but faced excessive pressure from officials. Just days before his tragic suicide, he wrote a letter alleging harassment from tax authorities and a private equity firm. His death raised serious questions about how tax enforcement is handled in India and whether honest business owners are being unfairly targeted. This isn't the only case. Several businesses, from startups to multinational corporations, have faced sudden tax demands. Tech giant Vodafone was caught in a year-long legal battle with the Indian government over retrospective tax laws. The government demanded billions in taxes on a past deal, even though no such rule existed at the time of the transaction. After a long fight, Vodafone won the case in an international court, but by then the damage was already done. The controversy made foreign investors hesitant about doing businesses in India. So why exactly does tax terrorism happen? Experts say there are a few key reasons. This means that sometimes the government changes tax rules and applies them to past transactions, catching businesses off guard. Tax officials have targets to meet, and some misuse their power to issue unfair demands. Lengthy legal battles and bribery in tax offices make things worse for businesses. At the end of the day, taxes are essential for the country's growth, funding infrastructure, healthcare, and education. But a fair system should ensure that taxpayers feel encouraged to comply rather than threatened. The challenge ahead is finding the right balance between collecting revenue and maintaining trust. Now, to tackle this issue, the Indian government has introduced certain reforms. What exactly are they? Let's check out. Let's delve into how the new budget addresses tax terrorism and what areas still need attention. The Union Budget 2025 introduces several measures to simplify the tax system and reduce the fear associated with tax compliance. The government plans to revamp the Income Tax Act of 1961 to make tax filing less tedious. This involves simplifying language, using formulas and tables, and reducing additional forms, making it easier for taxpayers to comply and potentially reducing disputes. Significant tax cuts have been announced for the middle class, including raising the income tax exemption threshold from 6 lakhs to 12.5 lakhs. This move is expected to boost household consumption, savings, and investment, providing relief to common citizens. The government has pledged to avoid protectionist trade measures such as reducing import duties on high-end motorcycles. This approach aims to create a more open and fair trade environment, potentially reducing the burden of businesses. While these initiatives are steps in the right direction, experts believe more comprehensive reforms are necessary to fully eliminate tax terrorism. Areas that still need attention include the following. Now, what exactly does this mean? The GST system remains complicated with up to 100 different tax rates, including CESES. Simplifying the GST structure could reduce confusion and compliance burdens for businesses. Is high excise duties. These account for a significant portion of fuel prices, 21% for petrol and 18% for diesel. Reducing these duties could lower overall inflation and increase disposable incomes, benefiting both businesses and consumers. Now, lastly, though some retrospective tax laws have been scrapped, ensuring that no new retrospective taxes are introduced, greater certainty and confidence for investors. The government's efforts in the Union Budget 2025 are commendable, but the journey towards a completely fair and transparent tax system continues. What are your thoughts? What other areas do you believe need reform to eliminate tax terrorism and promote a more business-friendly environment in India? Let us know in comments. For further updates on topics of taxation and finance, stay tuned with us. Subscribe to our YouTube, Instagram, Facebook and X handle, and don't forget to download the Savera app.